Creativity comes in many shapes and forms. Up next on Carpe Diem. Hello, and welcome to Carpe Diem. I'm Amanda Eustice. There are many words that can define an artist: singer-songwriter, producer, director, writer, film composer, guitarist, just to name a few. Joining me today is one artist who wears all of these hats, Scott Moore. Scott was born and raised here in New Jersey and spends his life following his passions both in music and the TV and film worlds, and often finds himself combining the two. Scott, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, nice to meet you.
Nice
Amanda.
to meet
How
you.
are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Hanging in there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's first start off with, you wear many different hats, you play many different roles. Is it hard, finding which route to go sometimes? Do you feel like you're being pulled in different directions?
Yeah, but the hardest part is explaining it to people. But yeah, anybody who works as a freelancer is always being pulled in different directions. But for so long, I've been working in storytelling and film and as a musician. My first job in TV was because I was a musician. I was infatuated with MTV, and I got a job working at MTV, and I learned the craft of television. So to me, those always worked well together, but being a freelancer and living project to project is really the hardest juggle.
What would you say inspired you?
These days, other people inspire me. I mean, music inspires me, something that's nonverbal, that makes you feel something that would take an incredible amount of articulation and not do it justice. That's the magic of music. But what inspires me a lot these days are fascinating people, their journeys, their passions, helping tell the stories of other people.
Now, you have worked on a various amount of projects, ranging from doing meditation music for Deepak Chopra and Oprah Winfrey's 21 Day Meditation Challenge. You do a lot of live performances. You also have previously worked for, like you said, and also have done projects with VH1, Stand Up to Cancer, and A&E.
Yeah.
How is it balancing everything that you do?
Well, we all got to make a living. I happen to make a living working in media and making music and films. And to me, the commonality, the through line, as I like to call it, is this kind of passion for something authentic. And like I said, telling someone else's story can be really interesting. And I can do that through song. I can envelop a character and tell their story that kind of gets you a little closer to a different look at the human experience. And when I was working on A&E biographies, I was telling stories about famous people or interesting people, or working on music documentaries for MTV. And so to me, learning the craft of writing was really the basis for all of that. Being a musician was a vehicle for it, and learning film is a vehicle for that. But it always comes down to the story.
Now, what was it like working with Oprah Winfrey, or for the 21 Day Meditation Challenge, or even Deepak Chopra?
Well, so I worked with Deepak Chopra. I never really worked with Oprah. I worked with Deepak when I was making some really high-end, beautiful films. And for those people who don't know him, he's kind of a thought leader in the mind-body experience and ancient wisdom, but he also is a Harvard medical doctor. So he's a really fascinating guy. He's written like 65 books, and I was making some films with him about the human body and mind. And we kind of kept in touch a bit, and he heard some of my music, and some people that he worked with heard it, and I wound up doing about 5 hours of music for his meditation project with a partner named Rich Tizzoli, who's a great film composer. So to me, because I practice yoga, I was really interested in doing that. And it was almost like scoring a film, except there was no picture. It was about creating this kind of relaxation landscape. And what we tried to do is not make it cliche or kind of like something you'd hear when you're waiting to get a massage at somewhere.
Yeah, massage envy or
Yeah,
an
exactly.
or an element.
So, and to me, I wanted to be able to take somebody on a little bit of a journey. So that's how it happened. It was really just through a relationship. But I never worked with Oprah on that. I worked with some of her people remotely.
So let's jump into your music, right?
Sure.
How would you categorize the music that you perform and like to perform?
Well, you know, growing up in New Jersey, I played in rock bands. I've always been really interested in the blues and R&B. And then in the 90s, there was a really kind of fertile singer-songwriter community. And what I kind of did was blend that, you know, my passion for roots, soul, and songwriting, and I went on the road just playing me and a guitar, similar to what like John Mayer became really famous doing, or Ray LaMontagne, some of these artists that achieved some really big success. And I put out a bunch of records, and what I always thought, you know, the kind of music I did is really Americana. You know, it comes from America's roots, whether it's country, but not real straight ahead country, blues, R&B, part gospel. But that's what still interests me after all this time. And, you know, when I play in yoga studios now, I actually incorporate those flavors, which makes it really unique. I just make it beautiful and cinematic. It's almost like the meditation music, but when I perform live in a yoga studio, I'm putting a ton of soul into it, and I feel like I'm scoring a film live, because there's a lot of improvisation, feeling the energy of the room. And these people are really, they're not just physically doing things, they're kind of going inside themselves. So
digging deeper.
Yeah, so it's the similar flavor music that is my vocabulary, but it's slower and it's really beautiful and cinematic. And I've been really enjoying that. I do that at some pretty big yoga retreats now.
I think that's interesting. When it comes to our world today and the music that a lot of this current generation, Gen Z or even millennials listen to, do you find yourself maybe leaning towards an artist that almost portrays kind of what you do or the music that you listen to or perform?
Like who I admire out there?
Who you would either admire or somebody that is similar to what you do, that plays similar music?
You know, in terms of younger generation artists, I really do like Ed Sheeran. I think you know, he's a very modern artist, but he's old school in his songwriting craft, and he's really got the goods. So my daughter and I can really like sit down and listen to Ed Sheeran a lot. But there's a lot of music that I listen to, which is more in the roots and Americana genre, which really doesn't hit the pop airwaves these days. But artist out of Nashville named Jason Isbell, who's won a couple of Grammys now, it just blows my mind. There's so much talent, but it's about finding it. And I think in terms of the music industry's changed so much. It's enormous, but it's scattered. Where years ago you had radio stations you listened to for different things, and now it's just about I don't know how many views you can get on YouTube or things like that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talent out there, but you got to work harder to find it. And I still love working hard to find it. Most of my peers aren't seeking out new music the same way, but I'm constantly listening to it. And then I have an 18-year-old son and a 15-year-old daughter who are very musically minded. And, you know, we turn each other on to different music, and I love that.
I think that is the beauty of music, being able to listen to something that you maybe didn't listen to before, and you can spark a conversation with somebody instantly. When it comes to you performing your own music and also the meditation yoga music that you do, is there a common line between the two? Is there?
Yeah, like I was saying before, I think the soul music, which is really a mixture of rhythm and blues and tinges of gospel and Americana. You know, Ray Charles made country records. there's a lot of soul across it. It's not just a color line.
Mm-hmm.
It's a feeling, and it's a striving, and it's present in a lot of things. And what I try to do with everything and the music that I always lean into and hits me here without thinking about it, has that element to it. So I just weave that into everything I do, because that's kind of my musical identity.
Mm-hmm.
So whether I'm playing like a folk song, it's going to have a little of that feeling in it. Or if I'm playing this beautiful instrumental piece, it's going to have some of those chord changes, some of those feeling that go back as far as spiritual gospel music, maybe, or R&B or blues.
Sure. So we're actually about to see you perform your original song, A Long Way. Can you tell me a little bit about where the idea came for the song?
Yeah. I went to therapy for the first time several years ago because I was really depressed. Some bad things were going on, lost a friend, challenges in life. And I went on Tuesday nights. So the song opens up. It's another Tuesday night. And it really was about a lot of the things that you've been asking me about. It was about, like, how do I balance this? What's my identity? How come I haven't achieved this huge success? I mean, I'm very lucky. I own a nice house. I have a lovely family. I'm not hugely famous by any means, but I was feeling incomplete at that time. So it was about the struggle and the journey that, and I think it's a really good lesson that, I was teaching myself, and hopefully anybody who listens to it. It's like, if you want something, it's about the pushing through. It's about the persistence. It's about, it's a long way from where you are to where you want to be. And that's, where that song came about.
That's beautiful. It's like, keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. As my one friend says, a little plus often equals a lot. Just keep going. And ultimately, it really is about the journey more than the destination, because I know a lot of people who are really successful in what we perceive as success, and they really yearn for those days when they were working harder towards it. So now I'm older, and I'm like, okay, I've been working harder towards it for a long time. Let's just keep doing it and try to grow, try to enjoy the process, and not stop.
I completely agree with you. Well, now let's take a look at Scott performing A Long Way in our studios.
Well, it's another Tuesday night, spilling out my guts. I think that I'm alright, yeah, then I think I'm going nuts. I'm giving it my best, I'm gonna give it all I got, 'cause it's a long way from the bottom to the top. Gonna give it all I got, baby. It's a long way from the bottom to the top. There's a million little questions running through my mind, like why my heart wouldn't take a rest and why the mirror's so unkind. But I know just what I am, and I know what I am not, and it's a long way from the bottom to the top. What I am and what I'm not, it's a long way from the bottom to the top. Well, things are looking different from standing way back here. There's something in the distance that I thought was oh so near. But I take another step because I've come too far to stop, and it's a long way from the bottom to the top. Well, I've come too far to stop now. It's a long way from the bottom to the top. Mm-hmm. bottom to the top. It's a long way from the bottom to the top. It's a long way from the bottom to the top.
What an incredible performance.
Thanks.
I could feel even myself just in this room. I get the chills. It's just so soulful. It's passionate. You can feel your energy in it. Has it been challenging, you know, taking the world that you're in now with music and doing so much with it, and your film world and your TV world and media, and merging the two? Has there been anything rewarding out of either?
Yeah, I did this web series. I had been working a kind of a steady film job for about 5 or 6 years, and that's where I met Deepak. I was doing a lot of health stuff, and I needed a break, and I needed to get in touch with some stories I wanted to tell. And so I was talking to a friend about what could we do nowadays. You know, I had some money. I didn't need to run and get another job. What could we create? And because he was in between things. And I told him I always wanted to do films about some of the amazing people that I'm lucky to know. I feel really blessed to have met and be friends with so many great people who are, some are well known, some aren't. Most of them aren't. And I'm inspired by that. And when I was working on the health content, I was doing films about the science of happiness. And one of the things that the biggest takeaway is that the quality of your relationships is the most satisfying thing that leads to contentment in human beings. We're social, connected, emotional beings. So I basically made some films called It's Who You Know, about people I know, people that my partner knew. And I actually composed the music for that. I directed them. So I kind of put all my skills concentrated into that little project. And it was really fun, really rewarding.
You forgot to mention that it's also an award-winning documentary.
Yeah.
Modest much. But how did that series come to be? Did you just kind of randomly pick?
It was just two friends going, both of us who were TV veterans, sitting around going, well, let's do something for us, because we really enjoyed each other's company, and he loved the idea, and he's talented. So, and it was great to have somebody to rally with. So we picked our people, and then we just sat down and talked with them, and it was like, this is great. And we did it. We did one season of it, and then I needed to get some jobs that paid for my house and my son's education, things like that. And I might do another one, but it was really satisfying. And the nice thing about it is it set the stage for the next year or so of work I was doing, because when people saw them, they wanted to hire me to do more of that kind of stuff for their network. I did a big film for the Stand Up to Cancer telethon that was very similar. So that was nice. It fed my soul, and it also got me an opportunity to do more work, the kind of work I enjoy.
I love the concept of this. They're basically feature stories where you're showcasing these very incredible people. So we actually have a clip of It's Who You Know featuring your friend, Ray Olivier. Let's take a look.
Hey, it's Scott. Here I am jamming with my friend Ray, who is a drummer. He's also one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met.
My name is Ray Levier, and making my living playing drums and recording music, and having fun doing it, living the dream. There's moments where it's just so right. It's almost like the silent witness that can step out and see the whole thing, and you're like, this is awesome. My dad is a musician, and there was a set of old red Sparkle Slingerland drums in the basement. And basically after my accident was when it just hit me like, okay, I want to play these drums.
Now, if people do want to view the rest of this episode or any other episodes, how are they going to do this? How can they do this?
Well, they're on YouTube, but also there's a dedicated website, which is IWYK, It's Who You Know, IWYK.tv. And there are about 8 films up there right now.
And can you just tell me a little bit more about your friend? Seems extremely interesting.
Yeah, so like the concept was like, there are people who are stars to me that I know and the world doesn't. He's an amazing musician, he tours around the world, but what his story of resilience, he was burned beyond recognition, had no business surviving at the age of 12. And he found the drums as his reason to live, and not only learned how to play them without having all of his hands left, but elevated to the point where he's been on the cover of drumming magazines. He's toured the world, and he is an inspiring human being who built his garage. He is a living, breathing example of resilience, spirituality, and following your passion and how it can fuel amazing things. And I play in a R&B band with him, and we tour around a lot called The Deep Dig, and we play benefits, and you know, I just love being around him. He's a great person.
And when you do these episodes and make them, what goes into it? Is there funding, equipment, different sorts of people that play different roles?
So this season is a couple years old now, and like I said, it was just a project that I did myself with my partner Eric Feldman at the time, and we shot 2 people. We shot it ourselves. This is an interesting thing about, I'll be quick, about the media industry right now. There's so many people like you grow up, and you're able to have great cameras, the technology, you can edit Premiere or Avid, these high-end programs on your laptop. The television industry I came into was way more technical and way more specialized. So I wanted to give myself a project where I could wear all my hats and I could also technically be in control of it. So we shot them ourselves. It was just like a DIY project, and I edited them and I composed the music with my composing partner, Rich Tassoli, who does the meditation music in a lot of TV shows. So it was a real, what I called it was like a farm-to-table filmmaking.
Would you say that this is probably the most rewarding project for yourself, or is there something else that maybe?
It's hard. I mean, I
takes
have
the top of
so
the cake?
many, I've done so much, but yes, there is something about this that is one of the most rewarding things I've done. It's nice when your TV shows are on TV and you get credits or awards or recognition and paid well. But this was like a passion project that there was no interference with the creativity. It was like this, nobody telling us, oh, you can't film that person, nobody's going to care about them, or it'd be better if you use this. It was like, this is the way we're doing it. It was, and we were honoring our subjects and honoring our own creative process.
Is there anybody in the future that you are thinking about interviewing if you were to do a second season
We
of this?
talk about doing another season. Both Eric and I are really busy on other things, and we've started to make a little bit of a list. I don't know when that's going to happen, but we have a list. But I don't want to give it away. But there are, if you look around, and that's what this series is about. Look, you don't have to look further than your own circle for inspiring stories. You know, when you're in writing school and they tell you write what you know, I was looking around at what I know and going, wow, I don't have to, you know, look to a celebrity or some reality show star as a vehicle for great storytelling. There are great stories right in my life.
They always tell us here, everybody has their own story.
Exactly.
And you just have to be the one willing to find it and get it out of them and make them feel the most comfortable. Now, when it comes to somebody that maybe wants to enter this industry, that wants to do and wear many hats like you do, what advice can you offer them?
Well, very similar to what you guys do here, which is amazing, is like dive in. You know, the fact that you're learning how to make a TV show by making a TV show that we're on right now, that is amazing. You have guidance, but you have to do it. you know, when I started at MTV, it was a really powerful youth culture at the time. They gave us responsibility at a young age that other places didn't, because it was empowered by youth. So by getting that experience, you learn, but don't be afraid to learn from mentors. Don't ever think you know more than you know. Have confidence in what you do know and learn more. And be humble and work with great people that inspire you. And those relationships will pay off, and the knowledge you'll put to work right away.
When it comes to you, what else can we expect in the future? Any new music? Any other projects?
So I'd like to talk quickly about, I produced a record that is coming out soon for an artist named Stacia Thiel, who is an amazing singer in the Americana genre. I'm really, really proud of that, and I'm excited that it's going to be getting out to the world. It'll be released on iTunes probably November 2018. And some members of Norah Jones's band are on that, and some great, it's just beautiful. So I'm really proud of that, and I'm going to be doing some more film work. I'm working on a historical documentary about this little resort town in the Midwest right now. And making a record for another artist really kind of got that fire in me to make another record myself. So I'm starting the process. That song that we heard today hasn't been on any of my records. That was the kind of the beginning of me writing for my next project. So, and more yoga stuff. I really enjoy that.
Very soulful. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
I enjoyed your company
Yeah.
and all of the wonderful insight that you had to offer. And
Thanks
thank
for
you
having
guys
me.
for joining us. If you would like more information about Scott or Carpe Diem, you can write to us on the email address on your screen, carpediem@mail.montclair.edu, or call us at 973-655-5158. For Carpe Diem, I'm Amanda Eustice. Thanks for watching.